Welcome back to part 3 of Happy Gilmore's hero's journey. With this, our story segues into step 7 of the hero's journey, the approach to the Inmost cave. It's a breather moment for our hero and the gang. It gives us all a chance to regroup, reflect, maybe make a plan. Sometimes somebody has just died, or maybe somebody is about to. This is what's known as the belly of the whale stage, which comes from the biblical story of Jonah and was interpreted later by Disney in his animated classic Pinocchio. In A New Hope, this is the stage where our heroes arrive to the location where Alderaan should have been.
What do you mean? Where is it?
And then getting caught in the Death Star's tractor beam. For Happy, he approaches his Inmost cave when he, Virginia, and his grandma go back to the house, only to find that they have to buy it back at auction. Initially believing that he may actually be able to get the house back for less than originally expected, that hope is immediately dashed when they lose the auction and the house to none other than
Shooter McGavin.
Shooter then offers to give the house back to Happy if he agrees to quit the golf tour.
Quit. And the house is yours. Fine, I quit.
Happy accepts, and he, Grandma, Virginia, and Otto the caddy go back to Grandma's house to celebrate. The end. No. Wait. That's not right. There's like 20 minutes of the movie. Oh, that's right. The call to adventure thing. Okay. So Virginia overhears Happy agree to Shooter's deal and pulls Happy aside. She asks Happy if quitting the tour is what would really make Grandma happy. Or would Happy being happy make his grandma happy? Anyway, Happy proposes a counter offer to Shooter. If he beats Shooter at the tour championship the following week, then Happy gets Grandma's house back and gets to stay on the tour. But if Shooter beats Happy, then Happy will have to quit the tour and forfeit the house.
You're gonna beat me? At golf?
This moment right here sets up the story's upcoming all-or-nothing moment and establishes 3 important elements. 1, that Shooter, the bad guy, is in control of the ultimate prize because he currently owns the house. 2, the stakes are super high for Happy and his grandma because if Happy loses, they'll have no house and no future golf winnings. And 3, the specific goal or task that must be accomplished to obtain the prize is clarified. Happy must beat Shooter at the tour championship.
You're in big trouble, though, pal. I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast.
Everything is on the line now. We have reached the point of no return.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
So why does Happy even take the chance? For a previous iteration of Happy, this would have been a no-brainer. He would have gotten the house back, and he doesn't really like golf anyway. But smartly, cleverly, the writers have updated Happy's goals, and we know now that he now wants to beat Shooter McGavin.
I was on this tour for one reason, but now I got a new reason, kicking your ass.
More than that, he seems to want to prove to himself something, that natural talent plus hard work can actually pay off for him. Happy knows here that his journey is not complete. Remember, saving Grandma's house was Happy's main goal, but it was not his call to adventure. So getting the house back does not complete his character arc. His call was to explore his newfound talent in golf and invest in something other than hockey, and really invest in it. And I just can't say enough how awesome this writing is. What the storytellers have done here is advance the story, segueing from one narrative arc to another, setting up the final showdown while not compromising on the pace of the film or the character arc. Exhibiting growth as an individual, it is at this point that Happy recognizes that he cannot overcome his weaknesses, not on his own, namely his short game. So he decides to go back to Chubbs for help.
Where are you going?
I gotta learn how to play golf.
Happy is demonstrating profound character development here by admitting his flaws and failures and seeking help to improve himself. The character's decision feels natural, his new perspective feels earned, and the stakes are properly dramatic. He finally has a smarmy face to put to all of the abstract demons that had been haunting him for so long, in Shooter McGavin. What the audience wants for Happy and what Happy wants have finally aligned and are in harmony. Happy then goes back to Chubbs and pleads for his forgiveness and help. Chubbs agrees to help Happy and takes him to a mini golf course to work on his putting skills. In yet another display of character development, when Happy and Chubbs arrive at the mini golf course, Happy says he's embarrassed to be at a golf amusement park and says,
This is embarrassing. I'm a professional golfer, for God's sake.
This is the first time we hear Happy call himself that. He has, at several points during the story, referred to himself in some form or another as a hockey player.
Sorry, ladies, I'm not the golfing type. 364 more days till next year's hockey tryouts. I gotta toughen up.
So you're a hockey player, huh?
Yeah, I've been training to be a hockey player my whole life. Hey, I got a hockey record. All good, because I'm a hockey player. I don't belong in this sport. I'm a hockey player.
But this is the first time he actually says, I'm a golfer.
I'm a professional golfer, for God's sake.
By announcing that he is a golfer for the first time, this is nearly the end of Happy's hero's identity sacrifice, which is giving up his dream of being a professional hockey player. He's got to let go of that old identity and embrace a new one in order to keep the house, the girl, the gig, and the money. Which brings us to the next two stages, which happen almost concurrently for both Luke and Happy. We have reached Step 8, the ordeal, and Step 9, the reward. The ordeal is like the last test of the second act that the hero must go through. It's like a test from the tests, allies, and enemies stage that made up most of the second act. But this test is like the big exam at the end of the semester and accounts for about 98% of the hero's grade. It's the penultimate challenge that the hero must face that tests what he's learned to this point and sets up a final showdown with the bad guy. The ordeal often requires the hero to encounter a seemingly hopeless circumstance, to face his greatest fear or weakness, and to draw upon all of his new skills and experience. And sometimes it involves the loss of something important to the hero. The reward, also known as the seizing the sword moment, is often the result of the ordeal and aids the hero in his upcoming boss battle. The reward can come in many forms, but is often some sort of weapon or tool, an elixir of some kind, knowledge, experience, or just a good old-fashioned training montage. Luke goes through his ordeal as he and the gang manage to take over a control room on the Death Star and discover the presence of Princess Leia as a prisoner on the ship.
The princess? She's here?
Princess.
They find the location of her holding cell and go off to rescue her while Obi-Wan gets the tractor beam out of commission so they can make an escape. Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewie find themselves in a trash compactor, the absolute belly of the whale. The walls literally begin to close in on them, and it seems all hope is lost until some quick work from R2-D2. Man, that little droid is good under pressure. Luke and the rest are about to make a clean getaway with Leia and the Death Star plans when he sees Obi-Wan in a lightsaber duel with Darth Vader. In a tragically selfless act, Obi-Wan allows himself to be struck down by Vader. Luke is, of course, devastated, but then almost immediately hears Obi-Wan use the Force to tell him to run.
Run, Luke, run.
And Han flies all of them away in the Millennium Falcon. So Luke's reward here, of course, is retrieving both Princess Leia and the technical readouts for the Death Star stored inside R2-D2. Happy's ordeal begins when Chubbs takes him to play putt-putt. It is here that Happy will reach the inmost, darkest part of his cave and have to face his fears, flaws, and shortcomings. He and Chubbs work on his putting, and Happy's escalating temper comes to a head when on one of the holes he encounters an evil clown who mocks and laughs at him. Happy loses all control and violently attacks the clown, smashing its nose with his putter. Chubbs pulls him away, talks him through his anger and darkness, and teaches Happy to find his happy place,
Your own happy place.
to let go of his doubts and fears and anxieties. Happy is able to find a mental space that provides him peace and confidence, and it cannot be overstated what a major breakthrough this is for Happy. This is the skill that will help him overcome his fatal flaw, the thing that has been holding him back his entire life. Well, that and sucking at hockey. With this, Happy is changed.
Now, how do you feel?
Better.
He is able to one-shot a putt on a ridiculously elaborate obstacle course of a mini golf hole and now feels fully prepared to take on his final challenge and face Shooter McGavin in the Tour Championship. But, as we'll see in a moment, Happy's ordeal is not quite over. In a fun bit of trivia here, the clown's laugh there on the putt-putt course was actually provided by Adam Sandler. That's Adam Sandler's laugh.
I hate that clown.
So in a way, in the deepest and darkest part of his cave, Happy must literally encounter and overcome himself. What? That's just like Luke on Dagobah and Empire. Yeah, all right, that one's a bit of a stretch, but whatever. We're having fun here. Anyway, moving on. After the putt-putt place, Happy and Chubbs go to Happy's apartment. In recognition of Happy's hard work, Chubbs gifts him a new putter, which has an elongated head and resembles a hockey stick, marrying Happy's two sports into one magical object. But in a moment, Happy must pay one final price for his new identity. Also, I find it interesting here that Happy trades in a hockey stick for golf clubs. Whereas hockey is largely viewed as a blue-collar sport, golf is traditionally a white-collar sport. So you might say that golf clubs, roughly sword or lightsaber in length, are
an elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
To say thank you for all of his help, Happy also presents Chubbs with a gift. A large box with a lid.
What's in the box?
Chubbs pulls the top off the box and sees the head of the alligator that had taken his hand all those years ago. Happy had gotten it stuffed and wanted Chubbs to have it. Chubbs is so startled by the sight of the alligator, he gasps and stumbles backwards out of the apartment window, falling several stories to his death.
Chubbs! Chubbs!
You fools!
Chubbs!
Avada Kedavra.
Chubbs! Chubbs!
Here is where Luke and Happy's character arcs come smashing back together in a major and tragic way. While going through their ordeals, they both see their mentor struck down by a foe from their past. Luke sees Obi-Wan sacrifice himself to Darth Vader so that Luke and the rest can escape with Princess Leia and the plans, and other deeper reasons we won't get into here. Happy sees Chubbs fall out of the window after being startled by the sight of the dead alligator's head in a box. So each Happy and Luke suffer a crucial loss here, but they come away with a reward. Happy has a new putter and has learned a new skill. Chubbs taught him how to putt and, more importantly, how to find his happy place, to fight through the anger and the doubt and the darkness when he encounters adversity and loses hope. Luke's reward is obtaining the plans for the Death Star, enabling the Rebel Alliance to have a better chance at defeating the Empire. Oh, and they rescue Princess Leia, too. So that was nice. So now with plans in hand, both Happy and Luke are on their way to the finish line in step 10, the road back. The road back to the ordinary world always sounds easier than it is because something inevitably happens and forces the hero to confront one or more obstacles that challenge either his weakness, his strength, or both. Luke must decide to stay and fight with the rebels after losing both Obi-Wan and then Han Solo, who bails.
May the Force be with you.
Meanwhile,
You know what the pathetic thing is? You've been playing golf your whole life.
Happy's road back is indeed looking like cake.
Somebody's closer.
He can access his happy place now. He's learned how to putt, and that, coupled with his long drives, should ensure victory.
Happy learned how to putt. Uh-oh.
He's cruising along at the Tour Championship, kicking Shooter's ass around the course. It looks like open road to the finish line until he is struck in the middle of the fairway by a car driven by that nutso that Shooter hired. This results in a metaphorical death for Happy. He escapes the car attack mostly unharmed except for one very specific injury.
He's lost the power to hit the long ball.
This is the hero stripped of his power moment. The hero loses the one ability that had heretofore been a strength and actually gotten them to this point, and must now rely on the new skills and knowledge acquired along the way.
Well. Happy Gilmore is human, after all.
With this new predicament and still not fully transformed, Happy begins to succumb to his inner weaknesses. He begins to play worse and he starts to lose his focus and temper.
All right, just remember what Chubb said. go to a happy place.
Things come to a head when he tries to access his happy place and finds it infested with darkness. Happy really loses it and takes several angry swings at his ball, dropping him a few strokes off the lead. As he walks down the fairway, Virginia calls his attention to his grandma, who has come to cheer for Happy. He goes to the sideline and tells his grandma that he isn't good enough to win the house back, that he just can't do it. What he means, of course, is that he believes he can't overcome his weaknesses. As we've seen, Happy's grandma has always been there for him, supporting him, even from afar. Seeing his grandma actually there at the tournament is like a little piece of his ordinary world has come to visit him in this faraway land, and causes something to click in Happy. Undoubtedly, the accumulated effect of having felt the support of a mentor/father figure, the excitement of a promising new relationship, and repeatedly challenging himself to step further and further outside of his norm has had a profound effect on Happy's life perspective. His grandma tells him that she doesn't care if he doesn't win and they can't get the house back. She just wants him to be happy.
The house isn't important, it's just the house. I just want you to be happy, darling.
With this last element, Happy is now ready and capable of being the master of both worlds, the ordinary and the extraordinary. Happy smiles at his grandma, looks up at his new girlfriend, and turns to face his final challenge. He is down several strokes with only a few holes left. He walks to his ball in a peaceful and improbably unpopulated area for a major golf tournament and finds step 11 of the hero's journey, the resurrection. With his grandmother's words in mind, Happy is once again able to find his happy place. And then, metamorphosis. Happy sacrifices his old self, his old identity, replacing it with a new one, putting his anger and frustration aside and elevating the happiness of others above his own childish frustrations. He has been torn down and built back up, resurrecting a new hero.
All right, Grandma.
Just as Luke hears Obi-Wan tell him to use the Force right before he blows up the Death Star,
Luke, trust me.
in his happy place, Happy sees Chubbs, who tells him not to worry. He's got his hand back and he's pretending to play the piano. Chubbs sings the opening to the song "We've Only Just Begun" by I Never Looked It Up.
It ain't over yet, McGavin. The way I see it, we've only just begun.
Happy realizes that he now has already gotten the things that he wanted. His grandmother is happy, he's found something he likes and is good at, and he has a girlfriend who believes in him and wants him to pursue the sport he enjoys so much. And this is why the game of golf is a perfect metaphor for Happy's journey. Golf is a game won by getting the best score in a field of players, but in a way, a golfer is truly only competing with himself. His game has no physical impact on the other player's scores and vice versa. So, as we see, it's not really Shooter McGavin that Happy must overcome. It is himself. And again, some amazing camera work here as we zoom in on Happy as he drives his ball off the next tee. It's such a fast motion, the golf swing, so the timing of the focus pull has to be pretty dang precise. And then the slow-mo effect, all layered over this classical music, is just another great example of using the unique tools of cinema to highlight the splendor of Happy's gift. Such a small but beautiful moment. Happy stages a heroic comeback and has a chance to beat Shooter McGavin once and for all with a single putt on the last hole of the tournament when one final obstacle presents itself. A camera tower that had been hit by that same car that ran over Happy finally tips over, placing debris on the green and in the way of Happy's final putt. Drawing upon his new skills and experience, Happy doesn't even flinch and insists the game continues. He once again lines up his shot and is able to hit a winning putt just as he had done at the mini golf course.
Chubbs, I know you're gonna help me with this one.
Yada, yada, yada.
He sinks the putt and wins the Tour Championship, beating Shooter McGavin and getting his grandmother's house back. He is surrounded by cheering fans and his loving friends and family. Luke blows up the Death Star. And here we are, finally. The last step in the hero's journey. Step 12, what Vogler called the return with the elixir. What we might call the taking a victory lap or the pop the cork moment. This is a return to the ordinary world, a new person, having developed new skills and overcome weaknesses and obstacles along the way. The hero's new identity should sit in contrast with the old identity. Here in Star Wars, we see that Luke and the gang are honored and feted with fanfare and medals. And with the destruction of the Death Star, they have given the Rebel Alliance a new hope. While Happy, his grandma Virginia, and yes, Otto the caddy arrive back at Grandma's house, having won it back from Shooter McGavin. In the sky above the house, Happy sees the Force ghosts of Chubbs, the alligator, and of course, Abraham Lincoln.
Hey, Happy.
They smile and wave at Happy and congratulate him.
Nice jacket.
Happy smiles, waves back, and gives them the thumbs up.
Who are you waving at, Happy?
And we can have confidence that Happy will carry on the lessons that he learned on this journey.
Nobody, Grandma. Let's go home.
Hey, if you've stuck around this far, thanks for hanging out with me as we go through Happy's hero's journey. And how are we going to wrap this up here? Am I trying to convince you that Happy Gilmore is on par, pun intended, with some of the better screenplays of the 90s or even of all time? Actually, I kind of am. Great skillsmanship can turn up in the unlikeliest of places, and I think that's what's going on with Happy Gilmore. I do believe it has been sufficiently demonstrated here that Happy Gilmore is an exceptionally well-structured and engaging story with a satisfying resolution and a flawed but sympathetic character who goes through real and earned change. I mean, I get that it's not everyone's tin cup of tea, but the more closely I look at it, the more I appreciate how much this movie actually understands the language of film. There is so much good stuff here that I didn't even dive into because it wasn't really part of the hero's journey. But right in the beginning, like foreshadowing the death of Happy's father when he hits his dad in the head with a puck, that kind of even foreshadows Happy's theme as a character in that he has to metaphorically kill his dad in order to end this cycle of self-destructive behavior. And then that scene with Happy and Virginia on the ice skating rink, we've got this older guy in the foreground and he's singing along to Endless Love, obviously reflecting back on a lost love of his own, while in the background, out of focus, is this young couple, this new relationship just starting out. And he's even facing from right to left, which is in Western culture symbolic of looking towards the past. So this guy's little moment right here is actually kind of profound. And then at the end with the mask, when Happy tries to go into his happy place and Shooter is kissing his grandmother and his grandmother is wearing the kiss mask. The specific thing that she used right after one of his parents died and his other one left, the thing that his grandmother used to put Happy at ease now that he is basically an orphan. It was like this mask that she was wearing and he was kind of startled at first and then she pulled back the mask and it was his grandma and he knew that things were going to be okay. To have that be the thing that tipped Happy over the edge when he tries to access his happy place, just a brilliant little touch there. And you don't even notice it because it's done so well. There's a ton of stuff in this movie that's just so well done, so overlooked. So if you can't tell, I have a massive amount of respect for this screenplay and the movie in general. And I thought that using Happy Gilmore would be a really fun exercise in exploring the 12-step structure of the hero's journey. And I gotta say, in the making of this video, there were countless times I thought, why am I even doing this? But I gotta say that I never once got bored with Happy Gilmore. No matter how many clips I went through and how many times I ran through it and edited and re-edited this video, I never got tired of what was going on with the mechanics of this screenplay. And that's a wrap on this video. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.